I'm challenging the woodworking elites. Top 7 tips. Pocket holes explained. Pocket holes for beginners. Don't do this. The list goes on and on. If you have ever thought about using pocket holes, you've probably seen these videos. So instead of making another pocket hole tips for beginners video, I decided to compile a few of the most common tips shared amongst YouTubers and discover if they are indeed expert tips or a pile of dog. Join me as I put some crazy pocket hole hacks to the test and see if they really work. Pocket hole techniques have revolutionized the way we approach woodworking projects. Imagine being able to build strong, durable joints without the need for complex mortise and tenon assemblies or traditional dovetailing. It's a game changer, and when done correctly, can elevate your projects to a whole new level. But let's be honest, mastering pocket hole techniques can be a challenge, especially for beginners. It requires precision, patience, and practice. Even with experience, it's easy to get frustrated when things don't go as planned. That's where pocket hole hacks come in. Clever techniques and workarounds that can help you overcome common obstacles and take your woodworking to the next level. In this video, we're going to put some of these hacks to the test to see if they really deliver. You can make many different kinds of joints with pocket holes, such as box joints, T-joints, butt joints, miter joints. Did I forget any? Yeah, I'm sure I did. Moving on. So let's get started and explore some of these hacks in more detail. From using specialized drill bits to clever clamping systems, we're going to put a range of techniques to the test and see what works and what doesn't. First up, we're going to go over different types of joints. And the first joint we're going to talk about is the box joint, which is most common in cabinets, and that's where pocket holes shine. If you notice there, I didn't clamp it. So it just kind of rolled off and went off. So we're going to talk about this later, but there's one thing. Clamping is definitely something that should be done. Let's get on with the test. But first, I want to see who is following along. We're going to start with testing the torque settings. Should you pulse it rather than go full speed? Clamp it, don't clamp it. Using a drill versus a driver. Joint strength, hole positioning, toenailing, grain direction, strength test, blah, blah, blah. I know. All right, let's see some action. All right, so our first try, we're going to do this by hand with no clamps and see what happens. That wasn't too bad. That actually worked out. That wasn't easier. Now let's say we wanted to go this way with it. That worked out pretty good too. Alright, so this worked out without clamps, but typically, I don't know. Let's just say, okay, so this one's clamp. Let's do it with the clamp, just to kind of see if it makes things easier, right? So let me clamp this in. We'll clamp all these together because, let's say I had a right angle clamp, which I don't, but we're going to clamp this together. See, this is making things much more difficult. You would think this would be a good idea, but that's there, and then we're going to clamp this one down. Let me get another clamp here. Now it's making things not even straight, right? So is clamping even worth the hassle? May not even be worth the hassle. Let me just set this up here. See, I can't even, I wouldn't even know how to, I'll have to screw this in from the other side, I guess. Right in here. Well, obviously it made things easier and nothing moved, but I couldn't really get to it because now I got to get to this side. So how am I supposed to do that? I guess if I was to just let's see here. So looks like clamping is not a requirement, but it definitely helps. Speaking of clamps, you know there's many kinds of clamps.
You got your quick release clamps, you know, your bar clamps, pipe clamps, all that good stuff. That's not what I'm talking about here. What I've seen a lot of people talking about is getting like a face clamp or a 90-degree clamp, which I don't really have the right one, the exact example, so it'd be something that looks like this. But what I've got right here, it's got a smaller surface area, but it's basically the same thing. So we'll use what we've got, and we'll see if it works. And if it does work, then if you've got similar equipment to me, you know that, hey, now you don't have to go buy more clamps or more fancy equipment because this works. This next test is a highly debatable one, so I would like to hear your opinion. Do you think it's okay to be lazy and just stick with the drill setting, or maybe use an impact, or should you turn down the torque on your drill, that way you don't strip out your holes? On top of that, should you go full speed and ram it in, or pulse it and give it a little squeeze, pause, and squeeze it again? Well, let's find out. So now let's set the torque back, and we'll just kind of tap it. Let's go over here. Fresh holes, right? So tapping it. Yeah, tapping seems to be okay. Now let's go full force on the drill setting. Ready? And here we go. They both seem to work. Again, that also wasn't with clamping it. So, do you need to clamp it? Looks like it's fine without it. It would definitely help if we do. So let's try it. Hold this in place. We'll clamp this one down too, just because. And my clamp won't reach over there actually, so what we'll do, we'll go just clamping that one. Full force. Worked good. Okay. And again, we'll just kind of tap it in. Do the best I can to hold it down that way. So see, you can see it's kind of separating there. Just tapping it. It's still working, but it does pull it in, which is nice. So it looks like it doesn't matter if you tap it or go full force, seems like it's okay. However, you can't strip it. You definitely can't strip it going full force on the drill setting. So, turn the torque down. Let's go with a 9 on mine. Let's turn this around since this one already has a bunch of holes. I should use my other workbench, but that's full of crap right now. Since this is just for demonstration purposes, not really building a real piece, we'll go with this. Alright, again, we're going to set this back in there. And full force. Can't strip it that way. And tap it. Again, same thing. Tapping it or whatever. So you definitely, this is a ding, that's a win. Now the next thing we're going to test is the impact. We just tested changing the torque and all of that, and they said to use a drill, not a driver. So let's see what happens. That didn't work. Yep, see? Stripped it. You definitely can. So they were right about that. It sure went in there good, but... So, let's do a new hole. And let's say, if you do decide to use the driver for whatever reason, can we tap it? Yeah, looks like you could. But it might just be safer just to change the torque and use a regular drill. So now the question of, can you do miter joints with pocket holes? And sure can. So if you can see, I got miters here. We're going to go in this way, right? So the screws are going to go in like that. So you just get your little jig, put it on the edge here, and we're going to drill our holes right here. I finally found out why I was struggling so bad with my pocket holes, because my pocket hole kit is really awesome, but the drill bit sucks. So I drill it most of the way with this drill bit, and then I'll switch them out. Yeah, this freaking drill bit feels like I'm drilling in reverse. So, like I said, I don't really do pocket holes too much, so I wasn't willing to invest a lot in one of the kits or the jigs, but I did want to try it. And so this one's nice. It gets you to the right angles and stuff, but man, I would definitely upgrade the drill bit. All right, let's go back to the other table and put it together. There we go. Nice and tight. So, can you do the miter? Sure can. Break them apart. They're pretty strong too. Well, if you go that way, then you'll split it. But if I go this way, let me see. Oh, yeah, you could. But still, I mean, if I was going to do something like that, I would probably glue it. So, the answer, can you do it on a miter? You sure can. How strong is it? Well, if you do it wrong, you'll rip it right through. And if you don't glue it, then, you know, there's that. There we go. You joint. All right, next challenge is for strength, right? So they talk about whether you're going to drill in or out. So this, what we did right here, as you can see, we drilled out. So this is potentially the weakest joint versus if we were to drill it going in, it's going to have more wood, more meat to hold on to. So see if we can break it apart. And it's in there. I mean, it is strong joint. Besides, I mean, I wouldn't think that you would, this would be your only joint, right? So, I mean, what kind of forces are going to act on it? But, again, like I said, this is good, but we're going to switch it just for fun and see which works. Yeah, I mean, this is holding a lot of strength. Okay, so now you can see it's on the outside. So say we made this like a cabinet or a box, you're going to see the pocket hole rather than the inside, so it's a little more ugly, but it's supposed to be stronger. Again, it's definitely strong. I can't even get wiggle in there. So I think they both check for being good. This might be stronger, I don't know, because the first joint was still pretty strong itself. All right, next up, spacing. So typically what I've been seeing is put it on the outside. That's going to give you the best amount of strength, right? Versus here, I didn't move the jig, and I put both in the same hole right there. So this one doesn't have one, but this is in here, and these are in here, right? So strength-wise, laterally, both pretty strong joints. But the force going down this way, no wiggle. When I get some force this way, can you see that play? This one's not as strong. I could break this probably. Like, look at that wiggle. Honestly, like, see? So putting them two together is not nearly as strong as if you separate them, right? Or space them out. So as far as spacing, I've seen some people say put it where you want it, and I guess it depends on what you're building, but it's definitely weaker in this aspect. Next debate is about, is the jig really worth it, right? Now, couldn't I just kind of do like toenailing or just randomly put it in at an angle? Sure, this thing is definitely designed to make sure you go at the right angle, but you could try it willy-nilly, but then how are you going to know where to put it and how good, and are you going to be consistent with it? But let's try it out. Yeah, see? That didn't work. Get in there, there you go. Angle. Who knows where that's going to end up. But we're going to see. Ooh, this is fun. You guys having fun? I'm having fun. I have no idea where this is going to end up. Whoa, where is this going to go? Did I just drill it? No, I didn't. See? So let's say, I may not even drill it deep enough. Oh, in my table. See? Look at that. Where is that? That would not be putting anything together. What if I tried to put this together? Not even close. See? So I definitely wouldn't have the skill to just do it without the jig. I don't know, you guys. And you could probably practice, of course, but look how ugly that is. Whereas like when I did it with the jig, right? Like it's clean, it's repeatable. So I would definitely recommend getting the jig, building a jig, something like that, because that's going to be really hard to repeat and, you know, just not screw up your project. All right, next up is going with the grain versus against the grain. Now what I've been doing is going with the grain lately. So now we're going to go against the grain and see if that's any stronger or weaker. As we learned earlier, I definitely like turning the torque setting down, that way it doesn't strip out. So, wiggle, wiggle. There ain't no wiggle. I think it seems to be equally as strong. Really having trouble trying to split it, right? So, I think it's equally as strong. But again, obviously that's not always practical to go against the grain. It just depends on what you're building. So the next thing we're going to go over is the different types of woods, hardwood versus softwood, and the two different kinds of threads they got here, right? You've got the more coarse one for your softwoods like pine, fir, things like that. Then you've got the fine thread, which is for your hardwoods, cherry, oak, maple, things like that. So we've got a little bit of cherry here, and we're going to see if, you know, I can use a coarse one without messing it up, and then we'll do the fine. So I drilled a couple holes here, and we're going to put these together here. So let's go here. I kind of broke this one, but let's do right over here. Let's put this together here. We're going to use this coarse threaded one, right? It seems to be okay. Didn't seem to mess it up. Try it again. It may be one of those things where it's not going to happen every single time, but it must have happened enough to where Craig had to make a fine thread over here for you guys. All right, back in business. Yeah, I mean, it seemed to be okay. So again, like I said, I don't think it's one of those will happen every time things. More of a precaution, I guess. But, I mean, this fourth one seems to be okay. I mean, it ain't messing anything up. Wow. I can't even twist it. I could barely twist it. That's a good. Works really good. It's really good with this cherry. But anyway, let's switch it. So now we're going to use the fine threaded one, right? You can see. Coarse, fine. And we'll start over here. Let's just put it in the middle where there's no other holes I've been doing, right? And I'm going to clamp it down again just because it'll be easier. Put this in here. Ooh, that's nice. I mean, that went right in too. That's pretty strong. But, so, do you need fine for hardwoods? it seems like probably not every single time, but probably a good idea too. We'll give it one more shot and see what happens. All right, let's go in here. Man, that is nice. And they're the same price, so honestly, I mean, like, or I think they are. I don't really remember, but I mean, if they are, then you know. And if you're gonna worry about your project, I would just buy the fine just to save your project. You're gonna spend the money on the hardwood. You're definitely gonna want to make it a nicer piece, right? So this challenge, I would definitely say get the fine thread, but it doesn't mean that you will always mess up if you just use coarse. Well, I hope you guys had as much fun as I did, because this was really just about all fun and games and just kind of some experiments out there. But I hope you really did learn something about pocket holes. Maybe I taught you something a little bit more than the basics, and we'll see. Maybe I saved a future project for you, hopefully. But anyways, like I said, I had fun making this. Hope you guys did too. Now, if you guys enjoy a router as much as I do, check out this video here where I built this grow chart for my kids. And maybe you'll want to build something cool like that for yourself and your kids, or it makes a great, you know, gift for baby showers and things like that, right? So, all right, guys, go ahead and check it out.